everybody talks about climbing Everest. Nobody ever talks about the descent from
Yep.
Everest. And as I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today, that's what pops into my mind is it seems like everybody's just focused on the climb up. And walking down ice sounds way worse than walking
Hmm.
up.
Hmm.
In my personal, I've never mountain climbed. I've never rock climbed. So like I'm totally assumption. And this is, to me, it seems the descent would be more dangerous than the climb. So first question, are you just turning around? You get to the top, you touch the top, turn around, walk right back down the same path you just came up? Or is the descent path different from the ascending path?
No, the descent path's the same, right? And the thing is, it's similar to climbing a tree. I'm sure you've climbed a tree when you're
Yep,
younger or
right
whatever.
back down. Yep.
Yep. So you're using all your strength to get to the top of the tree, but then you're using all your mental focus and whatever energy you have left in you to try to balance and make the right decisions where you place your hand and your feet to get down the tree, right? So getting up is completely physical. Getting down is mostly mental. If you still have some energy left, the problem is a lot of people, and that's why more people actually die on the descent than they do on the ascent. And so that's a very good question. Most people don't realize that. More people actually die on the way down than they do on the way up. And that is because of a couple of reasons. A, they've either expended all their physical resources and all their adrenaline to make it to the top, and now they don't have enough fuel left in the tank to get back
Yep.
down.
Yep.
B, they make a mental mistake because they're no longer have the focus to actually put and the energy to be focused to try to get down. So they place their foot in the wrong
Sure.
spot. They forget to clip in. Their knees give out. They slip on some rocks or ice. Whatever the scenario is. Like I said, that tree thing. You really got to place every foot, every little toe, every little heel. You got to be precise on where you place it on certain points of that descent, on the corners, traverse, the hill, or step, and so on. So if you make a mistake there, that could be the last one you make. And then, of course, the other factor that comes into play is the logistical factor. Did you run out of oxygen? Did you actually go through all your oxygen resources? In which case, now you could be in serious trouble. And now all of a sudden, you, for example, pass out, you black out, you have a heart attack, a stroke, or whatever, and then that can kill you as well. So yeah, there's multiple factors that will contribute to why there's more people dying on the descent than on the actual climb itself. But yeah, it is actually a little known thing that more people do die on the way down.
Yeah, I just imagine I can't imagine if I'd be feeling elated after the summit or if I would be feeling deflated. And of course, the next thing kicks in of, get back down to tell the stories or, whatever. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions here of like whatever that next piece would be that would drive you to get off of the mountain safely. What did you feel after the summit? Were you ecstatic to get back down and you did it? You've accomplished this thing. You have the footage, or Was it sad? Was it bittersweet? Sad? How did you feel after
Yeah.
you're coming down?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, and this is a pretty little known fact of what happened up there. The reason why we came down when we did, even though it was 45 minutes, was Tashi's hands were starting to get very cold. So I gave him my mittens, and then I took his gloves instead. And it's because his regulator was malfunctioning. His oxygen regulator was malfunctioning. And the first thing that happens once you lose the oxygen flows, you get instantly cold because we're endothermic, right? We have to burn energy to keep ourselves warm. In order to burn that energy, we need oxygen, right? And the summit of Everest is 1/3 of the density of oxygen it is down at sea level. So it's extremely hypoxic. So the first thing that you notice right away, and that I noticed, because I took my regulator off at the summit and stuff, is you start to get cold fast. So he started to get cold, and so we're like, now it becomes a dangerous situation to the standpoint that we have to figure out how to fix this regulator so he has enough oxygen flow to make it back down to Camp 4 to South Call. And so we got off the summit. We started leaving because of that reason. Started getting cold. We got down probably only about 50 vertical feet from the summit. There's this little kidney-shaped, wind-blown little alcove that just years and years and years of wind have caused. This little tiny, I don't know, maybe 8 by 3 foot wide alcove that we sat in, and we started messing with this regulator and saw if we can get it to flow again, and we did. So that was the first thing. So the first thing wasn't oh, let's get down out of relief, or let's get down because, oh, then we're done here. It was like we got to get down because now we're in a critical situation with regards to Tachi's oxygen system. Once we got that fixed, the rest of our team that was still going for the summit, they came up, and so we greeted them on the way down. I gave them a water bottle because one of my teammates or two of my teammates were looking really rough, and so I gave them my water, and Tasha gave them some water, and then we headed down, and we just kept monitoring them with the walkie-talkie that he had with the expedition leader to see where they're at, and kept looking back on the ridge and that kind of stuff. So we were now trying to monitor. Yes, we were getting down ourselves as fast as possible, but trying to keep an eye or trying to keep track of where the rest of our team might be. Then when we got to the balcony, that landmark I told you about, we sat there for a little bit, looking up on the ridge towards the summit to see if we can see these little tiny figures trying to come back down off the top of the mountain and trying to stay in contact with them, and then ultimately, we went and rappelled back down to Camp 4. So that was a situation where we're like, okay, now we're rushing daytime because you want to get back to the tents before it gets dark. So you want to make sure to get down in a expedited fashion, safely but expedited in order to get to the somewhat safety of the tents at Camp 4. And so then once I got to Camp 4, and when I got to Camp 4, Tashi started to radio back in the rest of the team, and we tried to keep an eye for them to try to get back. One, where they're going to get back down to Camp 4, hopefully before the darkness fell. But then I had to go out and film some more. I do some time lapses and stuff like that. So now I wasn't really focused yet on, okay, put my guard down to some degree. I'm now at least in a flat space. I got some access to some oxygen if I need it, or some more water. I was worried about filming some time lapses and some other shots. So not until I actually got done with that, and it was probably about 9:45 at night that evening, did I actually got to let my guard down a little bit. But knowing that I still had to get down the Lhotse Face and the Geneva Spur and get to Camp 2, where I was now, I would be safe from the death zone hypoxia scenario. Once I got back down to 21,000 feet, I knew, okay, I'm safe there from those elements. I still got to do the ice fall and the crevasses and all the other dangers that are ahead of me to get back to base camp. But at least I knew it wasn't going to be an issue of oxygen, and whether or not I was going to, die of hypoxia kind of a scenario.